Welcome to Pouring Takes. I'm Charlie Van.
And I am Rayya. And today we have a special guest, and we're watching the Home Run Derby with our fellow baseball expert, Danny Cox. Danny, welcome to our setup at Bryan Street Tavern.
Thanks for having me again, guys. Happy to be here.
Oh, we are loving that you're here. Perfect timing, lining up with the mid-season classic. $5 down and Crown and Downs. There we go.
Yep.
$5 Crown and Downs here at Bryan Street Tavern tonight. But tonight, baseball is on, so you know what that means? We are drinking beer.
We are, and not only beer, we're drinking Blood and Honey from Revolver and Cranberry, which was about like 45 minutes from Arlington, Fort Worth. So,
Favorite Texas beer?
Absolutely. It's my all-time favorite. Cheers, guys.
nice little 7%er there. And of course, Danny, the last time you were on our show, the Rangers did something it took away my Dallas Cowboys pain for the year. So winning the World Series, and now here we are a year later, home run derby. We got Adolis Garcia. We also got Yates. We got quite a few guys. Corey Seager that's in this All-Star. What is your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously this year has not been as good since the World Series championship, and you and me have been talking a lot about it throughout the year, and I'm just like, I still have a lot of faith in my Rangers right now, just because they had that injury bug, but still, Adolis Garcia, Seager, they still got their main guys in the All-Star game here, so it's going to be fun to watch them.
Also, don't
forget.
Simeon. Yeah, I got
Marcus Simeon.
Yeah, he's
guy.
my dog. He's my dog. I love Marcus Simeon. He's an iron horse for them, so it's going to be fun.
So what did you think as far as, because they are heating up a little bit, had a good little series with the Astros. What are you thinking right now? Because it seems like they're getting people back.
Yep.
But guys that have had to step in, like Josh Smith, snubbed in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Huge snub.
Statistically, he was one of the greatest position players up to this point this season.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh Smith is a dog. I just don't think he's has that big name out there yet. And since it is mostly the fan voting, at least for those initial votes, I think that he did get a little bit snubbed there. But like you were saying, the Rangers are on a bit of a hot streak, making a comeback. I've been saying this whole time, their pitching rotation has just been way too injured there. With them and just the Dodgers are two teams right now that are just absolutely their starting rotation is ridden with injuries. So I think as they start to get some of these guys back, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape. And if they do decide to sell at the trade deadline, I think a lot of these veteran starting pitchers, they could get a good return for them. So if I was the Rangers, I wouldn't worry too much right now about having a down year or not be doing too good. Because if you don't think this is your year and they decided to sell, they have some veteran pieces to sell. But if they do want to go for it, they have a few guys coming back off injury. Is Scherzer and DeGrom's coming back. And Evaldi's been great. So I think that they do have a good chance to make a comeback here.
What is your take on the AL West as a whole? We saw Houston also have a very, very slow start to the season, and now they're currently in second behind the Seattle Mariners, who have pretty much been wire to wire the division leaders at this point.
Yeah, I think that the Mariners are going to kind of choke towards the end of the year.
Isn't that what they did last year?
It seems to be what they always do. And I think a lot of their main guys, their starting rotation is legit.
Yeah.
I will give them that. Their starting rotation is their bread and butter. That's what's going to get them there. But Julio Rodriguez isn't having a great year. He is a great talent, so it's kind of sad to see one of the bigger names in the sport not have a good year. So I'm hoping he has a comeback here, but I really just don't think that they have a full team. I think the Astros have winning down. They figured it out. They get into the playoffs and they're going to do something. So I really think, unfortunately for Rangers, but I think the Astros are going to come back and seal it up at the end of the year. But I still think the Rangers have a better team than the Mariners.
Yeah, let me remind you, Houston did win the division last year, but they didn't win the World Series.
That's a good point.
Well, and I know you mentioned a guy that you've been high on as a pitcher, and you cannot wait till he gets his chance to really get to play, and that's Jacob DeGrom. What makes him so special, and what excites you the most to see him on the mound, and especially post, unfortunately second Tommy Johns, but do you still think even at a 75-85% he's something special?
Yeah, DeGrom is the best pitcher I've ever seen play baseball. There's nobody else that can just dot triple digits on the corner consistently with a low 90 slider. He's just constantly around the zone. He has more control than any guy throwing the same velocity, and he does it with kind of ease. it looks like he's doing it easy. Obviously, he's had 2 Tommy Johns, so he's obviously having some elbow issues. But, I mean, that guy just does it with ease. He hides the ball really well. He's really lanky in his delivery, and he just kind of slings it in there and really gets guys off balance and works it out. Like, one of my favorite hitters ever to watch is Freddie Freeman of the LA Dodgers.
Ooh, I'm such a fan of Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freeman is such a good hitter. And the guy just like does the small things right as a hitter. He's a high average guy. He can hit for power. He can hit gap to gap, line to line. Great hitter. And he was always saying Jacob deGrom is unhittable. He's like, Jacob deGrom is the hardest pitcher, which Jacob deGrom's a righty and Freddie Freeman's a lefty. Usually you want that matchup, but Freddie Freeman even said, he's like, I'll take any lefty in the league over Jacob deGrom. I mean, that guy is no joke. Unfortunately, we haven't seen him have a full season with the Rangers yet, but I'm not kidding you. Like, we get Jacob deGrom back in the front of that rotation, it's gonna be legit.
Remind me again, when is the trade deadline?
It's in a couple weeks here. I think it's at the end of July.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly
right
sure
after All-Star.
Yeah, right after the All-Star break. So, I mean, we're headed up, like, right at the tail end here. So, I mean, the Rangers have a decision to make. Like, they have, like, a week or 10 days or something to make a decision on whether they're going to sell or not. But I think that they could do, like, kind of like a small sell. Get something back for Scherzer, sell a couple pieces like that, because I really do think their pitching staff is a little bit duct taped together. They need some younger players, and I really would love to see them go out in the offseason and sign some bigger names. But I wouldn't give away any of their young talent to go out right now and trade for more starting pitching. I think that's a little risky. They do have some really good young starting pitching I'm high on. And then their young position players, I would not give away Wyatt Langford, Evan Carter, anybody like that. Like, keep them how it is. So I would sell a couple of the veteran starting pitchers and then see how you come at the end of the year.
Well, you're speaking my language. I'm always a fan of a good trade. He knows this. I'm the kind of, like, businessy kind of person that's like, all right, I would rather sell assets and get younger, newer, fresher things.
Yeah.
Not going to say I don't care about winning, but I care about the longevity of a franchise. That's why I play Dynasty Fantasy Football, guys, because I like to think 2-3 years ahead rather than live too much in the moment.
Well, and Danny, you mentioned another name that you were also very high on before, I mean, really coming into this fall and talking about coming out of college, not only having you on for your baseball knowledge, but it contributes because you played at the college level. Wyatt Langford coming right out of the University of Florida and just really being able to dive in. How impressive you've been with him, and you called it kind of early, I remember.
Oh, yeah, we had that conversation. We have it on film, guys.
Wyatt Langford's swing is too good to fail. It's simple as that. I mean, the jump between AAA pitching and Major League pitching is insane. So it's kind of to be expected. Like, it takes, like, it's a lot to adjust. Not everybody can come out, out of the minors and then just start nailing starting pitching in the majors. So it did take him a little bit to adjust there. It took him a while to get his first home run. His first home run was an inside the Parker. It took him a while to get one over the fence.
Oh, my God, yeah. Didn't he also recently hit for the cycle? Was that a week ago?
Yeah.
Yeah,
God,
and
what a
so,
gem.
that guy is like, he's such a big talent, though. I'm really, really excited to see what he does. But I think he's just going to continually get better. We saw the same thing, actually. We just saw Bobby Witt Jr. up on the screen at the Home Run Derby. He actually started the same way as Wyatt Langford, if you kind of remember the early, year. Because I think he's in his third year now. His first year, he was slowly progressing. He was a 250 hitter with 20 bombs, 20 stolen bases. But he started off a little, slower in the lower 200. But he just kept progressing. And now he's, one of the best players in all of baseball. In Bobby Witt Jr., true five-tool guy. I think Wyatt Langford's the same thing. Fast, strong, can hit for average, is a good defender. So I'm like, Wyatt Langford's a five-tool guy. I just think it's going to take him a little bit to start getting acclimated to this Major League starting pitching. It's a faster pace of play. You play way more games, so it's, different to just stay in a routine. This is all, I think people jump on younger players a little bit too soon. Because 162 games is a full-on marathon.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's the longest season of professional sports.
Exactly. So it's not common in any other sport to play this many games and have to be day in and day out, be ready to play baseball. So I think that's an adjustment for anybody, and making adjustments on the fly as a hitter is really tough, and especially when you're facing guys that are such a high caliber. Imagine facing guys on Jacob deGrom's level every other night is just man, it's just crazy. So I think that he's going to start heating up this year, like towards the end of the year a little bit more, but I'm really excited to see him play next year.
Well, we got Bobby on the mound right now, or
at the
plate.
plate.
Sorry, at the plate. Shout out to Bobby, by the way. He's from Colleyville, right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah.
So good to see him, there at Globe Life. And, he's looking to heat up here. So
how fun is it that Arlington is hosting all the All-Star festivities this week? Danny, you had a chance to go to all the events this weekend. You did
I went to
the
the Futures game, yeah.
You did the celebrity softball game. Tell me about your experience out in Arlington and enjoying these All-Star festivities.
Yeah, so on Saturday, you pretty much get a ticket, and you watch the Futures game, all the young up-and-coming stars that are all just minor leaguers right now before they head to the MLB. So a lot of the All-Stars that are playing now, they were in these future games, or they won the MVP of the Futures games, so they were featured in these games. So I was really excited to see them because I follow a lot of these younger players, and I'm excited to see what they can do on the major league field. But then also for the first time, they did a skills competition after the Futures game. So it was really kind of cool to see them. So there's 4 players selected from the NL, 4 from the AL, and they did a bunting competition. They had like a target out there, like a bullseye target.
So cool.
And you had to bunt it in the target. Then they split it up into like 3 sections of the field. Like you had to hit to left field, center field, and right field, and you get points for calling your shot.
It's like horse,
but
baseball.
It's horse, but baseball. And for anybody that plays MLB The Show out there, it's just like how you play like Road to the Show. It's like a video game when you have your own character in a baseball video game.
That's
so
awesome.
It's like a very similar thing. And then the last round is a home run derby. So it was really cool to see like a lot of these young guys. Some of these guys were absolutely terrible at bunting. They didn't even get a single point. And then this one guy, I remember, he was like the guy who ended up winning it. Can't remember his last name. His first name's Anthony. I'm drawing a blank, but it was funny. Coming into the last round, into the home run part of the round, everyone else had like 30, 40, 50 points, and he had 6.
Wow.
So we're like, oh boy, let's see what he does. He ended up winning the whole competition. He hit, out of like 10 pitches, he hit like 8 home runs. The guy was launching them. So it was like really fun to watch.
Anything can happen. We are literally watching the home run derby right now, and we've seen
Bobby's hit some good ones.
Some great and iconic moments over the years. So far, we've seen Bohm. He's got 21, and Bobby Witt Jr. is up right now with 18, and he's actually hitting his bonus balls at this point. Before we get into more home run derby stuff, do you guys have a dog in this fight? Like, is there anyone you are really pulling for tonight? And if so, would you like to put a shot on it?
Absolutely.
Who I think is going to win?
Yes.
I think Gunnar. I'm going to go with Gunnar Henderson out of Baltimore. The kid's been on fire, second year. Made it to the home run derby's first year last year. Plus, he's got some swagger. He's got some, you would like this, Danny, Lego cleats. For his birthday, they got him some Lego cleats. So
Also, with a name like Gunnar, you have to be really effing good.
Yeah.
And that Top Gun mustache that he's rocking.
Absolutely.
It's like Dazed and Confused,
it's the look now. It's the mustache and the mullet. You gotta have it all.
I'll go Gunnar.
What about you, Danny?
Oh boy, I mean that was gonna be my pick, but now I feel like I gotta pick somebody else. All right, what's gonna be your pick?
Oh, I ride with El Bombi till I die. We are at home. We are representing. He's already done the home run derby once, and it didn't go in his favor last year. He definitely struggled with it. Now he's seen how it works, the process. And like I said, he's at home. He has to put on a show. I'm thinking like Josh Hamilton back in the day. He's gotta make a scene tonight.
All right, there we go. No, I'm with you. That's a good pick. I think my pick would have been Bobby Witt Jr., but I think he just got eliminated now.
So the top 4 out of the original 8 advance. And he finished with 20. So technically he's in second place.
Okay, I'm going to take Bobby Witt Jr.
You're on pace.
I'm going to take Bobby Witt Jr. on this one. He's
Speaking
one of my
which,
favorite players.
Garcia's up next. So
there we go.
Let's see, are you going to take a shot?
I would be sweating over here.
We hope he takes all the right shots, though, right?
So with the home run derby, I think one of the coolest things is each of the batters get to pick who pitches to them. Some of them pick their teammates, some of them pick their coaches, some have picked family members. If you're in the home run derby, who do you want pitching to you?
Oh.
Well, I mean, I would probably love my pitcher. I would have Yates out there.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, carry the momentum. carry the momentum. I don't think I would have a family member. I don't know. There may be some friends. Like I have a good friend, Bryan. He's a baseball player like you, maybe. But I think I would just give my pitcher that's in it some get him warmed up.
Really?
Let him taste.
Nice.
Have that success
pick.
together.
What about you, Danny?
So I've come to find out that a good BP thrower is very, very hard to come by. Playing college ball, there was only select people I liked hitting BP off. Even some coaches, they were not good at throwing BP at all. My dad, I love him to death, not good at throwing BP. My guy, till I die, my favorite BP thrower, my college coach, Coach Mackey, shout out Mackey. I'm telling you, the most money BP ever. Just slings it right in there, smooth, right down the middle every time. He can pinpoint any corner he wants to. That would be my guy. If I was in the MLB Home Run Derby, I'd call him up and be like, Coach, get up here. Phil Mackey. There we go.
Okay, so my pick is going to be a little corny, a little cheesy, but I feel like when you're in these situations, the person pitching to you has to be someone who knows you backwards and forwards, who can kind of premeditate your sweet spot, and you don't really need to coach them. They just know. Someone who, I don't know, finishes your sentences or orders the same drink you do or show up in the same outfit you do. That's right, friends. It would be you. You would be
All
pitching
right,
to me.
There we go.
No, seriously.
I thought you were going to say Corey Seager for some. I was thinking
No, I really, I truly believe it. I think it's adorable when these players choose their fathers because I think those are some of the most iconic, sweet moments and kind of successful.
I think it's adorable, but also there's money on the line for this if you win. I'm sorry, my dad's not good enough at throwing BP for me to choose him.
I'm just saying.
I'm trying to win this thing.
Someone who
I'll
knows
keep it
you
right
really
at the
well.
bat. I'll keep it right.
Oh well.
I
I was being cute and nice. Whatever.
We'll make sure it's before the show, kind of you know, not a few beers in.
Yeah. There we go.
But I promise you, I'll pitch better than 50 Cent.
Hey, I hope so.
Let's hope so. Jeez.
Oh my goodness.
All right, Adolis Garcia finally got on the board here.
Oh.
He's got two now.
He's got two.
He's looking to bring that El Bombay.
Oh, please do.
He's got to find his stroke here. It's about catching a rhythm in the home run
You know what?
derby.
I'm sure someone like Aldis doesn't have a problem finding his stroke.
As we're here, yes, as we're saying there. Watching the home run derby right now.
You know, here we are at All-Star Weekend, big All-Star game tomorrow, but the season I feel really starts after the All-Star break ends.
Yeah.
And are there any teams that y'all are keeping tabs on outside of our AL West division that you're like, you know what? They might win it all this year.
I mean, the Orioles look really good right now as far as the AL goes. I mean, they had a good streak last year, but they want resurgence. They got embarrassed by us. You know, I feel like mission's not accomplished. You just hear it with their manager. You hear it with all the team. I think they're coming for it, but also the Yankees too.
Yeah, Yankees are a really good ball club. Same with the Orioles. I think the Orioles are going to choke in playoffs again.
Yeah.
Unless they make some good moves at the deadline. That's just my personal opinion. I think the Yankees just have some guys that are just absolute tanks. I think that guys that can just sneak into the playoffs and really come alive. They're the number one team in the MLB right now, but I just absolutely love the makeup of their team right now. That's the Philadelphia Phillies.
Oh,
I think they're the favorites to win. I think they are going to win it. I'm a huge fan of Bryce Harper, but they just have a team they have a couple young guys, but a lot of veterans, a lot of guys that have been to the postseason, been there, done that, and a lot of guys on the mound that are just absolute dogs. So I'm a really big fan of them right now.
And last year should have kind of been the year. I mean, that upset to the Diamondbacks.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
and even 2 years before that. So
I think
ready.
the Rangers would have had a tough time in the World Series.
Well,
against
I
the
said I
Phillies.
wanted the Diamondbacks.
You did say it.
I remember. The Yankees, I feel just have been kind of slumping, though. Haven't they lost 18 out of 21 or something like that? Something ridiculous?
Their starting pitching has, at the beginning of the year, they had the best starting pitching in the MLB, and actually recently, the last 2 weeks during this losing streak you were just talking about, they've now had the worst starting pitching in the MLB. So they had a completely 180 from the best starting pitching in the MLB to the worst starting pitching.
Hate to see it. Not really.
But, they have a lot of talented guys that I think will have bounce backs. Garrett Cole has not been good since he's come off the injury list. It's Garrett Cole. The guy's going to come back and pitch his tail off. Carlos Rodon he's on my fantasy team. The guy's driving me nuts. He was great to start the year, but the guy has some issues. Mechanics-wise, he has back issues. He's had Tommy John. The guy's kind of like the walking injury machine. So I'm like, wait, and he has like chronic back issues now.
Yeah.
So I'm
That's
like,
brutal.
yeah. So they have a few guys that I'm like kind of weary on, but they do have a really good team. They still have Marcus Stroman. They still have Nestor on the mound. So I'm like, I think they have enough guys to like make a run at it for sure, and their bullpen's really good too.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk about the other team in New York. The Mets were, they had a really, really slow start, and then there was the whole grimace thing, and I know things have kind of balanced out since, but wouldn't hurt to keep an eye on those guys too, and also the Braves. I love the Braves.
Yeah, I mean, the Braves are always one of those early like they just know how to put it together. I think last year, once again, a team that fell shorter than what expected. I think the one, though, Danny, you brought them up about injuries because they made probably one of the biggest paydays was the Dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
And they have their issues going on right now and started off hot, but do you look at this season, if it does not pan out, like obviously it's a long-term investment of time, but still a bust because going in and paying that, you're trying to bring that confidence back to your city, to the team.
Yeah. I would consider it a bust, yeah. But this year is a bust for sure if they don't make a run at it. But I think they're going to be fine, going into the next year. They have guys locked up. But if you want to look at how many of their starting pitchers are injured, I mean, they have 6 starting pitchers on the injury list right now.
Yeah.
They have Tony Glasnow, absolute stud starting pitcher. The Yoshi Yamamoto, big Japanese, one of the best pitchers. I mean, absolutely. I love that guy. Injured already. He just hit the 60-day DL. Dustin May is back on the injury list. Clayton Kershaw is on the injury. I mean, you're looking at their injury list starting rotation is the best starting rotation in all of baseball. And so they're right now just piecing it together. And Shohei Ohtani not pitching. I mean, so we're talking about Clayton Kershaw, Tony Glasnow, Yoshi Yamamoto, Dustin May, and Shohei all on the injured list. I mean, that is like the best starting rotation in all of baseball that's all injured right now.
That's so sad. It hurts my feelings when you
know,
think about
and they have one other guy that's a young pitcher who's also really good. He's on the injury list too. So we're talking about like 6 really good pitchers that are on the injury list. So right now, you just like their bullpen or their starting rotation is like it's really just being thrown together as best as it can right now just to keep them afloat. And they're still winning. And then you got a terrible injury to Mookie Betts to his hands.
Oh yeah, that's
brutal,
right.
Absolutely.
And they have no depth in the middle infield. And so, like, their worst player that could have got injured for them was Mookie Betts because they slid him in from the outfield to play second. Gavin Lux couldn't play short, so they're like, screw it, Mookie, you want to play short? And Mookie did a great job, and then he just, weird off-the-hand injury.
Just like Josh Young, too. I mean, who should be, I think, coming back after All-Star. That's the anticipation.
Okay.
I hope so. We need him.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like they've been ridden by the injury bug. So while I will say it's a bust, I would also look at their team of it's not like you had all of your main guys playing and they're all sucking, and then you're just like, what the hell? You just put all this money into them. All those guys are doing really good, and they just got hurt. So it's just kind of a fluky season, I think.
On a side topic about the hand, can I ask you that because we've seen some wild pitches real quick with obviously Josh Young, Corey Seager also got hit, but luckily we
were watching that game.
Yeah, luckily he was okay, but Mitch
yeah.
Garver also got hit. So what for those that kind of just for education purposes, what is going into it? Because you're seeing more common that I feel, and maybe the last month.
I mean, it's gonna be it's one of the easiest bones to break in your hands, especially as a hitter. I mean, it's obviously the smaller bones, and it's more exposed. Hitting growing up, all the hitting coaches, you're supposed to have your hands further away from your body, to start off. So you're gonna have them kind of more towards the plate or over the plate. Bring them back in as you load. Unfortunately, it's just one of those injuries that unless they want to wear a guard on their hand and wear an Evo Shield protective thing on their hand, I mean, it's just going to be an injury. And unfortunately, you just went through a series of some really big names and big stars in the game that were getting hit by those pitches, and then you break your hand and you're out for a couple months.
So it's nothing from the throwing action, obviously. None of it's intentional, but it just seemed is it something from the throwing that the pitcher could do, or no? It's just timing.
I mean, that's thrown inside. I mean, you don't want anybody throwing intentionally high and in like that.
Yeah.
So if those were intentional issues, intentional throws, like especially like Mookie Betts or bigger stars like that, if those were intentional throws, I think that we'd have a big problem on our hands. I think those guys would get suspended and fines big time. But I think ultimately as a pitcher, especially like if you're a right-handed pitcher, right-handed batter, if the ball just slips a little bit, arm side, or you throw a two-seamer and it rides in, and the batter's not going to bail out because you got to stay in there. So in Mookie Betts' case, I think it was a two-seamer that just rode in, and he was hanging in to see if it like broke down or whatever, and he just didn't move quick enough. Like it's just a fluky kind of thing. It just rides in or it slips out of the hand a little bit. So it's just like one of those unfortunate injuries. It's just like, dang it, you hit his hand. And Mookie Betts is like probably feeling completely fine. It's just his dang hand, you know?
It's kind of been like the Achilles injuries this year for baseball.
Yeah, it really has.
So, quick update. Tanner and I just had a moment watching the end of El Bombi, Aldis Garcia's little run here. He finished with 18 home runs and did not capitalize on his bonus balls.
All right, so shot.
I might have to.
Also, like, he was pitching inside basically the whole time.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what would happen when you choose emotionally over strategy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know who he chose. Okay, you guys? It looked like he chose a coach, but I don't know.
Yeah.
My dad would have put everything down in the dirt.
Yeah, exactly. Same with my dad. Or he would have hit me a couple times.
Oh, my God. I would definitely.
Guys, I'm not going to lie.
I just couldn't hit it.
I think Teoscar Hernandez is going to surprise people in this home run derby. He was one of my favorite signings this offseason. He was kind of ridden with injuries these past few years, but oh my gosh, this guy has such a beautiful swing. I was so happy when the Dodgers picked him up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, because he was kind of ridden with injuries, and he was on the Blue Jays and did terrific. And what was he on, Seattle last year? Do you remember? I think he was on the
I think he was on the
Mariners.
Mariners.
Was it Mariners or Marlins?
I think he was on the Mariners.
Okay. I don't know. Eventually,
yeah,
it all looks the same to me.
I mean, he has such a good swing. He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
It's so good he can't fail. Same thing like Wyatt Langford. Like you just look at some of these guys and you're like, it's way too good. It's way too good to fail. He stays healthy though. This guy's such a joy to watch.
Yeah, he's got a beautiful stroke, and I know I keep using the word stroke. I'm so sorry, but
No, keep using it.
but yeah, you're right. I haven't seen him play very much, obviously, so I'm enamored right now. It's like butter.
Yeah.
What you mean enamored? Like she's sober, but.
I said enamored.
Oh, okay.
I'm hammered. I love it so much.
It's an SAT word.
She's been grand slamming these.
Drink. I can't.
that's too funny.
I cannot.
You can. It's positivity.
Oh my goodness.
So I think that. How do you guys feel about Pete Alonso in this competition?
I mean, it's
He
good
won
for the
last year,
Mets.
right?
No,
Or
not
the year
last year. He
before?
won like 2 years back to back. The 2
That's
years
what
prior.
it was. Mm-hmm.
He's like really, really big on this home run derby.
Yeah.
Like this
It's
is
his
his
moment.
this is his moment.
been waiting
Polar
all
Pete,
year.
baby. Polar Pete. I mean, you can never count this guy out.
Yeah.
He like trains for it. He had a whole like routine leading up to the home run derby. He like posted last year of like his exact strategy. Like, he has like a
I
printed
love
out
this.
strategy of what he
That's what
eats,
it
where he
should
wakes
be.
up, what he does. Yeah, this guy is
Okay,
like
but my key
hardcore home run derby.
my key question is: will Grimace be pitching to Pete Alonso?
I hope so. I really hope so. Either that or Frank the Tank from Barstool. Because if you know Frank the Tank, I mean, he wants his Met guys to do well.
Oh, there we go.
The Mets.
We'll see.
I mean, do you guys think Pete Alonso is going to get traded at this deadline?
There's a possibility. I mean,
The Mets are making a little bit of a comeback there, but I'm still not a fan of their team at all, to be honest with you.
well, they're going to do what they're going to have to do at ASAP. They
Yeah.
can't have just a little glimmer of hope. I mean, how
Yeah, their
last
owner
year
Steve
went.
Cohen,
Yeah.
he's the type of guy that's willing to shed some money to make sure that they have a team.
Well, didn't he blow a lot of money to build this team?
Yeah.
He's still blowing. I mean, he's still paying Scherzer and Verlander like a buttload of money.
Oh, yeah.
Just truckloads of money. I mean, he's between the both of them. I mean, he's probably paying like $60 million right now.
It's like the
50
Bobby
million.
Vanilla thing.
Yeah, he's paying a ton of money.
Whatever.
Bonilla.
Happy Bobby Bonilla Day.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
my bad.
it's kind of like the Russell Wilson deal too. And
Well,
you
Shohei
know,
Ohtani's about to do that coming out for this contract.
I know.
That's right. The 10 years deferred or whatever it is,
oh
right?
man, I want his agent. Like,
Well, he's only getting paid like $1 million or $2 million a year for the rest of his playing career. He's just getting paid $68 million a year after that.
hey, you know what?
Hey,
I'll take it.
you're seeing a lot of this in basketball too. The Jalen Brunson contract that was just signed, for example, guys are willing to take a pay cut for the opportunity to win.
Yeah.
Do you think that is going to be a more common thing we see with these megastars that could have the big
If
contracts?
the clock is ticking, too.
I think maybe. I don't think so, to be honest with you. I think too many of these guys are just going to want the big contracts. I think you'll see it occasionally, but I think majority of the time you're going to see guys going after the money. I mean, Shohei wanted to win for sure, but also every single winning team was willing to shed a lot of money to get him on their teams. So, I mean, he got a $700 million contract, and he did that just by just acting like him. And he really wasn't interested in many other teams with the Dodgers, but he was just acting like he was entertaining the other offers, and the Dodgers.
But that's what you do as a free agent.
Yeah.
It's like when you're single, you date everybody. You like one person, but you still date everybody to be sure that you're making the right choice.
And then especially if the person you're really interested is kind of being wish-washy and dragging their feet, you're like, all right, I'm going to go on another date. And they're like, oh, crap, I don't want to lose you. Let's go. Let's be boyfriend and girlfriend.
Well, the Dodgers needed it.
Right now.
The Dodgers needed it, and they needed it especially they're in the bullpen. They needed Ohtani. With Clayton, Clayton's great, but obviously 36 years old. He's getting up there. He's had his injuries, and also having a big-time hitter. I remember when they were looking at Ohtani, they were calling him young Babe Ruth, So, you have that power, and you got that pitching, too. So, they needed that X factor.
Yeah, Ohtani is insane. You're going to get one of the best pitchers in the league, one of the best. As a DH right now, he's in the MVP
conversation.
Yeah. As a DH, he's not even playing the field.
Yeah.
That's not, everyone loved David Ortiz when he played, but he was never, a top 3 MVP voter just because he didn't play defense. He couldn't play defense, and he was slow as can be on the base pass. He could just whack a baseball. And Shohei Ohtani is literally out there right now in MVP contention, and all he does is go up to bat 4 or 5 times a game. It's wild.
I have a question. So we look at Ohtani and we're like, he is a freak athlete. How often have we been able to see a guy who can pitch and bat and do all the things that a baseball player technically should know how to do? I don't know how to phrase that better. But are we going to see a generation of players that can go both ways, no pun intended?
Yeah. Today's day and age, I think more and more people will go both ways. I think actually there's a guy, Jack Caglione. I'm butchering his last name. He's a Florida State guy. Oh, no, he's a Florida guy. Just got drafted 6th overall in the MLB draft. I'm a big White Sox fan. White Sox had the 5th pick. I decided to pass up on my boy Jack. Very upset about that. He's a two-way guy. He actually, in D1 baseball, last year led all of D1 baseball in home runs, hit 33. This year he hit 35, hitting over 400 with a 1,400 OPS, and he pitched on top of it this year.
Wow.
He pitched 80-something innings this year.
Incredible. Wow.
Yeah, so this guy, he's a big boy too, probably 6'5", 6'6". So we are seeing a few of those guys, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the Mariners or Diamondbacks who just first rounder ambidextrous pitcher.
Wow.
So he pitches in the 90s, both right and left-handed.
That's like in boxing, being able to switch between southpaw and orthodox, and it's a good strategy.
I think it's really interesting. He was dominant in college from both sides, throwing from both sides. I think it's interesting being an ambidextrous pitcher because they had to create a rule for it that you have to declare what hand you're throwing with.
Yeah, you can't switch back and forth during a game. That would be
during
super
an at-bat. You can during a game.
Oh, you can during a game, just not during
From
an at-bat.
batter to batter, you can.
Oh.
Just not in the middle of an at-bat. So the reason why they did this is because they had another ambidextrous pitcher that was, I think he pitched for the A's years back, and but he never really was that good. He was throwing upper 80s for the A's, but he was played in the minors a lot. But there was a switch hitter that kept coming up, and he just kept switching his glove to the other hand, and the hit batter just kept going to each side of the plate to hit the opposite hand.
That's hilarious. I feel like
that's
a meme.
So they were at and then the umpires were like, "What do we do? There's no rule." So they had to make a rule just for that situation. So the pitcher actually does have to declare what hand they're pitching with. So if a switch hitter comes up and you're like, "Well, he's not as good at hitting left-handed pitching as he is right-handed," then you declare you're throwing with your left hand. So I think it'll be pretty interesting. Huh?
That adds a whole like another layer of strategy, because I always feel like baseball is so much like chess. Like managers
Yeah,
are
it is.
constantly moving the pieces. It's not flashy, but stuff like this could just make it more interesting, at least to someone like me, like more interesting.
I think it would be fun. I mean, just imagine watching a guy throw with both hands, but also imagine, like, could that guy take a start right-handed and then the very next day take another start left-handed? Because his arm wouldn't be tired.
That is so true.
I mean, it's good to have
You could take up 2
strong hands.
spots in the rotation.
Look at that. It's like it's like the reverse of load management.
Yeah. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Well, let's just real quick, the MLB draft you just mentioned. Rangers first round, Malcolm Moore out of Stanford, and then second round, Dylan Draylen coming off of the NCAA title win
Yeah.
with Tennessee. Both guys praised enough on what they're hitting, but more to be desired in their positional play, some improvement. What do you think about those picks? Do you see it as kind of how you've seen we're going through injuries right now, at least to bring up a DH right now? I don't think these guys we're going to see like a Wyatt Langford kind of in the next year, but what do you think about those picks?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know like a ton about either of those players. I just know, I was watching draft night and following up a little bit. I tend to, when I look at draft picks, I tend to go, as long as they're athletic and they have good baseball movements, I would lean towards making sure that they have more hitter characteristics than fielding. I think that a lot of that can be developed. There's some really good defensive guys, and I think guys can like shore up their defense a lot easier than becoming like an all-star hitter. So I like those picks a lot. I don't think you're going to see either of them come up in the next year or two.
Yeah.
I think both of these guys are about 3 years away. Maybe 2, but I mean, you're not going to see guys like Wyatt Langford come around very often that just spends a year in the minors.
Or even
and then
Evan
you're gonna be
Carter.
up here. Yeah, or Evan Carter. Like, those are fluke-type players, and that shouldn't be expected from a typical, baseball, guy coming up through the minors. It takes a long time. Like I was mentioning earlier, like, AAA to major leagues is a drastic difference. And it is a huge difference from low A, high A, double A to AAA. Like, there is a reason why you kind of go through the minors. I mean, that first pick out of Stanford, I mean, he did play in some good college ball, so I'd assume that he could move up pretty quick. We might see him in a couple of years here. But you never know how these guys develop. He might need like 3-4 years to come up and like actually be a contributing factor to this team. So I think it's definitely further out in the future before we see these guys.
Well, they're stewing up some great talent though.
Yeah.
They're doing so well, and I'll say one, he's not a rookie, but I mean Derek Hill coming up and taking over the way he has, and so they're brewing some good stuff down there.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Porter is still my guy.
Yeah.
Starting pitcher out of Michigan. I think this guy's just an absolutely phenomenal talent.
You've been talking about Brock Porter for a while. Oh, thank you,
Look
Luigi.
at this.
My God,
Shout
thank
out
you.
to Luigi.
Cheers.
Oh, mine's closed, so you can start a new one for me. Yeah, might as well.
Mine's still open, yeah. But shout out to Luigi here, the
Shout
great
out
staff at
Luigi.
Bryan Street Tavern. If you want to watch the
I know,
All-Star
we
game
are
tomorrow
so
night,
spoiled here. We
come
love
over
it
here
here.
because there's $3 Texas drafts tomorrow night. So come watch the All-Star game. Great food, great environment. You've been talking about Brock Porter for a while. Talk just
I'm
a little
such
about
a
your
big- such a big
familiarity,
fan.
because you told me like first time we met, which was a year ago. We're at another bar, and we went all deep dive into baseball.
Yeah, he played high school ball in Michigan, threw several no-hitters throughout the year, and actually in the state championship game threw a no-hitter to win the state championship his senior year. Got drafted by the Rangers. My team, the White Sox, were actually they were in conversations with trading Dylan Cease to the Rangers before the season started, and Brock Porter was a big player in that deal, and the Rangers weren't willing to get rid of him. And I was so pissed about that because I really wanted Brock Porter on my White Sox.
Yeah.
Brock Porter is about to be the truth. I'm not kidding you guys. I mean, he came out of high school. He was drafted 2 years ago now, so he's about 20 years old.
Wow.
He's putting up great numbers in the minor leagues. I would expect to see him next year or the year after. This guy is going to be a phenomenal young pitcher. I mean, he has really good. I mean, he has 4 pitches, but he has really good 3 pitches: fastball, slider, changeup. Really, really talented guy, mid to high 90s.
Wow.
And I mean, and he's just young. He's young. You're going to expect to see him for a while. But luckily, I think luckily for Rangers fans, they're holding on to him. They're not willing to trade him. So that's pretty cool.
Good for us.
Yeah, good for you guys.
Especially
Love to
with
see him.
how we need to build up this bullpen,
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited of
Thank you, Luigi.
how they're cooking right now. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool.
Okay, so real quick, Hernandez finished his at bat, and he finished with 19 home runs.
Wow.
Oh, so he beat your
The
guy.
only way Aldis stays in this is if everybody else from here on out is under 18, which I highly doubt given the
Now with
talent
Pete
pool.
Alonso coming up.
So I am going to have to do shots at a later time. But I have a question for you specifically, Danny. You know, we had you on the show about 6 months ago,
Yeah.
and we talked about you being a Detroit Lions fan. How are
Yeah.
you a Detroit Lions fan and a Chicago White Sox fan?
Oh, my
How does
gosh.
that make sense? Make it make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. When I first became a baseball fan in 2005, that's when I first started playing baseball, was around 2005. And at that time, if you guys remember,
White Sox and Astros.
yeah, and the White Sox won the World Series, so I was watching them throughout playoffs, and they were the best team. And I was just a little kid at the time, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever that there was a baseball team named the White Sox, and I wore White Sox. And
Wow.
I thought it was funny that the best team was White Sox, and I had White Sox. So it was a really dumb reason, but ever since then, I'm a loyal, stubborn fan.
Do you
so-
ever get crap back home? You know?
all the time? They're like
Yeah.
division rivals.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
All the
I mean,
time.
that's probably a given, you know.
It'd be like growing up in Dallas and being an Astros fan. People would be like, "What the heck's wrong with you?"
You know, I had an interesting relationship with baseball. So I didn't start watching baseball until I was probably 11, 12 years old. At the time, I was living in Houston. I grew up here, lived in Houston, came back here. So I was a Rangers fan, but when I was in high school and stuff, that's when the Astros were really good.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I'm like, well, the Astros are NL, the Rangers are AL, so I can support both. And my dad had season tickets for the Astros. So I was at Astro games all the time. And then, of
Nice.
course, they go to the World Series in 2005, and I, had everybody. I was all in. I had Craig Biggio. Craig Biggio is still one of my all-time favorite baseball players.
the guy is
that's
awesome.
That's the first baseball jersey I ever owned, was a
That's a
Craig
good
Biggio
jersey.
jersey. We are also birthday twins,
There
which
we
makes
go.
it even better. But yeah, the Astros, I think, are the ones that really made me fall in love with baseball. And then the day that they got moved to the AL, I was like, shit, got to make a decision, and I stayed with the Rangers.
That was a good decision.
Yeah.
That was a good decision.
Yeah, well,
You guys remember when the Astros had that big hill in center field?
Yes.
That was like the weirdest thing ever.
It was. I love baseball parks with personalities.
I do too. I
And
do
so,
too.
I have
kinda miss it.
I have a bucket list thing that I want to go to all the MLB stadiums. I've been
Me too.
to 10 out of the 30 so far.
All right, you've got me beat.
Do you have a favorite so far?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I really do like Comerica Park. The Rangers Stadium is a little bit too fancy for my liking. It's like so new and everything. but
Comerica is which one?
That's
For-
Detroit Tigers.
Detroit. Okay.
I just like it because it's like, first off, Detroit summers are not sweating yourself to death outside kind
Yeah.
of heat. So it's a completely open ballpark. And I mean, I just checked the weather in Detroit today. It's like mid 70s, in July.
that.
So
man.
like you go to a baseball game, it's mid 70s. Stadium's completely open in the heart of Detroit. You got the GM building right behind the stadium, like on the outfield and everything. So you get the view of the Detroit, and it's completely outside. So I mean, a lot of the times, even when Detroit was like a really bad team, you just go and grab beers with your buddies and just walk around the stadium because tickets are like $5. So I mean, you
That's
just like
pretty
go
awesome.
there just for a vibe. I really love that stadium.
Okay, but that's
I
what
like Wrigley a lot.
That's what I like
Wrigley
about
is a
baseball.
nice stadium, too.
Baseball is one of those sports where you don't really go for the game, you go for the environment. You go to walk around the stadium, have beers with your buddies. You go and see things. And Wrigley's great for that, by the way.
It's I mean, I've only been once, but going in, it was like magical. Like, it was just chills.
Well, it's a national landmark. I haven't been to Wrigley. In fact, I went to the White Sox stadium.
Oh, really?
Chesapeake?
Say here. Was it
That's
back when it was
sad.
U.S. Cellular or
Sorry.
was it Guarantee Rate yet?
It was before it was U.S. Cellular. It was a different cell phone.
Chesapeake's the new one, right?
No,
Was
it's Guarantee Rate. It's like Kaminsky or something
Oh,
like that.
Kaminsky, not Chesapeake.
I want to say
Sorry,
it was.
Yeah,
I don't want to say.
Kaminsky.
I think
I thought it was Kaminsky or
Kaminsky's now, I think.
Maybe it was
no, it's
U.S.
guarantee rate.
Oh, it's guaranteed, but it was
guaranteed.
Kaminsky.
At the
or
time,
something
it
like
was
that, I
it
can't
was a
remember.
cell phone.
Too many name changes.
It was a cell phone company.
Yeah,
that
U.S.
had
Cellular.
it. U.S. Cellular. Yeah, this was summer 2012 when I went.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Can
it
I
was US
kind of
Cellular.
quickly date myself?
I don't mean to cut you guys off, but Pete Alonso.
Oh, yeah, no,
It's
it's
not
his
having a
trash.
good time.
His strategy is not working. That
Listen,
blueprint.
No,
You know what? I hate to say it. Grimace is not pitching you guys.
No, I'm not kidding you.
Was he using Garcia's blueprint?
This is his own pitcher, and this guy sucks. I mean,
He should have just grabbed Scherzer.
yeah. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding you. This pitcher's screwing him. He's not giving him anything to hit. I mean, this is like bad. A good BP pitcher is like a lot more like it's a necessity for a home run derby.
I was gonna say when I was luckily old enough to have been able to watch Nolan Ryan at the old stadium, which
Wow,
was
you are old.
crazy.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you,
are old,
thank you.
geez.
The dust is coming off me right here. I thought that was laundry detergent, but it's
dust.
my age. But it was cool. But I am so happy that they kept the old ballpark because the aesthetic of it. I mean, I don't miss 104-degree nights.
Yeah, that's insane.
But if you go in there, it's beautiful. And the great thing about it, for those that don't know, is it did take from other ballparks, like imagery from back in the day. So it's cool. But I will say I do like sitting in AC.
Yeah.
So I will tell you guys, for me, the coolest stadiums I've been to, I would say Minnesota is one of them.
Minnesota.
Minnesota,
I haven't been there.
you can see the literal Twin Cities. Like
Yeah.
the backdrop and like the outfield, you see Minneapolis on one side and St. Paul on the other, and it's absolutely
Is
beautiful.
that Target Field or what is it called?
Yes,
yeah,
Target Field. And just like Detroit, you got the 70, 75-degree summer
Yeah,
days.
there
It
you go.
is absolutely gorgeous. And I would say my favorite of all time is actually Seattle.
Seattle, really?
Seattle,
It's a good one.
so it's in the city, it's downtown, and the sunset over the stadium is one of the most beautiful, breathtaking things I've ever seen in my entire
Wow.
life. I don't know if it's that Seattle air, I don't know what it is, but it was just so like aesthetically beautiful.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's nice. I haven't been to a game there, but I was there in October because they both, season. No, they probably were on the road. They were on the road, but just seeing from the outside, that area, it's so nice. Of course, you got this T-Ox Lumen field is right next there, but that field looked really cool. I want to go to Coors.
Yeah.
Coors?
Park.
Yeah, that's
I
on
got
my
to see the
bucket list
outside
also.
of it, but
Fenway is on my bucket list.
me too.
gotta go to
Same.
Fenway.
I've been in Boston so many times. I actually was in Boston one year when the Rangers were there.
Oh, man.
And I was on a work trip, and they gave us a choice. They were like, do you want to do this fancy dinner at this super nice restaurant, or you want to go to a Red Sox game? I'm the only one that voted for the Red Sox game.
Oh, boo.
That sucks.
That does suck.
It does.
And on the note of sucking, Pete Alonso just finished his sucky round. Really disappointing.
It is so disappointing.
Grimace
12 home runs.
pitched.
12 home runs
Where
for Pete
was
Alonso.
Grimace?
I
Or
think
Frank
I
the
listen.
Tank,
Listen,
come
as
on.
much as I'm disappointed in Pete Alonso, I'm even more disappointed in whoever was throwing BP for him. That was terrible. That was an embarrassment, honestly.
I mean,
Ugh, just terrible.
it's
BP
just another
right there.
sad thing for Mets fans to watch.
Yeah,
You
another
know.
sad thing.
Oh,
So-
that's a good conversation topic. Which baseball fandom group do you feel the most sorry for?
Sorry?
I am Canadian. Oh, I have been to the Blue
Toronto?
Jay Stadium, by the way. The Blue Jay Stadium is
Toronto?
dope as fuck.
Probably Tampa.
Yeah.
Because it's terrible baseball, and they just cannot.
Oh
get
my
it
God!
going.
Let me tell you about my trip to a Rays game.
Okay, let's hear it.
So I went to the Trop 2 summers ago.
Okay.
They were playing the Yankees, and my family is originally from New York, of all places, my dad's side. And so my grandfather is the biggest Yankee fan,
All
and he
right.
lives in Florida. He lives in Boca Raton. And at the time, my parents were living in Tampa.
Uh-huh.
And when I was there, the Yankees happened to be playing the Rays, and so I called my grandfather and I said, hey, if you're willing to drive, 2.5 hours or whatever it is, I will buy the tickets, and then I will go back to Boca with you after the game. And he was like, well, I can't beat that. Like, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I look at tickets. You guys, I bought tickets behind the Yankees dugout. Like, I'm talking directly behind the Yankees dugout. for $150 a seat.
That's right field in the Rayya
Yeah,
Stadium right now.
I know.
My whole life.
Absolutely. And so I'm like, okay, but the Yankees are in town. I feel like these should be more expensive. Then I went to the stadium, and now I know why the tickets were so cheap.
Yeah, the stadium's crap.
You
It's
walk
like
in.
going to the A stadium. It's
Yeah.
You walk in and it just reeks. Like
Really?
it smells old and dingy and moldy. Like you have like an instant ick when you walk in.
not good.
And my grandfather is the kind of guy that's like, let me buy you all the souvenirs. Do you want a beer? Do you want ice cream? Do you want a hot dog? Like he's trying to buy me things. And the aura of that stadium absolutely turned me off. Like, I didn't want any alcohol. I didn't want anything. Like, it was just like, I don't want to be here.
Probably at
Wow.
Petroff still.
Well, they
Possibly.
even when the Rays are good,
They
nobody
are
shows up to
good.
those games.
Yeah,
And
nobody
that's so
ever shows up to
Well,
those
disappointing.
there's
games.
this playoff series against the Rangers. I mean, it was half empty.
Yeah,
and this
it
is
was
a
terrible.
playoff.
Yeah. The stadium really does suck. And
It's
I mean,
awful.
if they had a cool stadium, I mean, you're going to sell out
Well,
games. You're going to get people to show
They're
up.
talking about building a brand new like complex for them, but that's like 2-3 years down the
Yeah.
road. Like,
Yeah, it takes a while to get those things going.
and it's really unfortunate because that team has been a consistent playoff team.
Yeah, a good team.
I don't
the
drink
Rays are
chocolate
always
in
good.
anyways, so.
I mean, the Rays have like such an excellent strategy. They actually hire a bunch of stat graduates from Ivy League schools.
Yes, they do.
So
they
they
really
do.
believe in
They-
analytics.
Yeah, they really believe in analytics, and they just like literally are just seek after all the best Ivy League schools for like people that have stat degrees and stuff. So it's like really interesting. But they do a really good job too, and they don't hold on to talent either. You know, like Blake Snell was like coming off a great year, and then they're like, all right, let's trade him, and everyone's like, what? Why are you trading him? And then sure enough, now he's like really back and forth on whether or not he's good. So they just like don't hold on to guys. If they have
No.
high trade value, they trade them.
And that's why they've been so consistently good for so long. And I'll tell you this about the stadium. We were talking about like things that give stadiums quote unquote personality. They have stingrays. They have a stingray tank in their outfield.
Really?
Absolutely. And it is disgusting.
Oh no!
I'm like, who takes care of these poor animals? Because the tank is like the
Is it
village
gross?
pool.
It's
of
like the
Fourth of
village
July.
pool. Oh god.
I'm gonna go get a beer real quick. You guys keep talking about them stingrays.
Oh, wait.
I have an open tap, so I'm gonna go up there.
No,
You got it?
you don't have
Are
to
you
go
sure?
anywhere.
All right.
Luigi's here.
Well, no, mine's
Well,
on the
because
other.
I was gonna say I have to use the restroom.
Okay.
Well, we could take a quick pause.
No. You guys.
We have the technology.
We should have this conversation with Tanner, or you know what? Or we could wrap this up and watch the rest of the
All
Home Run
right.
Derby.
You want to do that?
Yeah, I
Whatever
mean,
you guys want to do,
All
I'm
right.
here for the podcast life.
Well,
well, before we get out of here, there was a couple topics that we
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah,
touch
real
on.
Yeah,
quick.
let's do it.
Because there's been a lot of sports news for like a very calm summer so far. I'll start with this. The Copa finale took place last night in Miami between Colombia and Argentina. And if you watched our last episode, everybody knows I'm all in on soccer right now. I don't know why, but it's what's going on.
There you go.
But the game was not the highlight from last night. Last night was all about the wild and crazy fans.
how everyone got in and they were ventful because they went through vents and like, I mean, it was like a Mission Impossible movie. Like just get in
Did you see
this.
any of
Like,
this coverage?
I haven't-
oh man, they're just
Oh, it was
sneaking in
insane.
through vents to get into the stadium.
So the game was delayed 85 minutes because people without tickets were breaching security and they lost, like they had no crowd control.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
they had
wow.
to comb through the stadium and make sure people who didn't have tickets left and people were still trying to sneak in. They were going through the loading dock. They were sneaking through the vents. They
Wow.
shattered an escalator.
yeah, that
Wow.
escalated fast.
Drink.
No pun intended.
You can't make jokes like that if you don't have a drink in your hand.
I have a little bit of a drink in my hand.
But it's
I'll
one
make
of,
it work.
It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen in sports, period. And with the U.S. hosting, or being one of the 3 hosts for the World
Yeah.
Cup in the next 2 years, how do you feel about that? How does someone like, I don't know, Jerry Jones, who's hosting 7 World Cup
Oh, they
matches?
ain't sinking in that place that easy.
No, I know, but like that, and I know it's different federations and it's different logistics,
We're armed and dangerous
But-
out
Yeah,
here.
they have SWAT.
but it's absolutely terrifying.
Well, that's why some people thought, I just heard, like, was it an inside job? Like, how did people get in that easy? Especially, like, the vent area and that. That was, like, I get kind of the mad rush in the front because you kind of do see that, unfortunately, at places. But the sneaking in through inside the vents, I don't know. Somebody has to let you in on that. I don't know. But it is crazy. It is dangerous. Luckily, I don't think anyone got hurt that I saw. It was a great game, though. Went into extra time.
Yeah, the only goal was scored in the 112th minute. Argentina took the win. Leo Messi sustained an ankle injury, but nobody's
nasty.
talking about it
That's
because
wild.
of how wild this is.
I know.
And one thing I need to point out is the game before this, the semifinal game in Charlotte,
The fight in the
between
stand.
Colombia and Uruguay got really nasty too, and they're saying it's the Colombian fans are responsible for both instances. But I don't know. I've never heard of this before.
No, I mean, I haven't either, but I mean, it's made for a couple days worth of like viral content. I'm sure with, I appreciate it, Luigi. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I mean, it got crazy. It's something they're definitely going to have to look forward with the Olympics coming up. But definitely, we got the World Cup, like you said, in a couple years. So
That is scary. Another not so scary thing, but a little unnerving is today it was announced that John Jones could potentially be serving jail time this year, which puts the UFC event in November versus Stipe Miocic in jeopardy. Charlie Van, if you're Dana White, how do we fix this?
well, that is a good question.
Before you guys get into this, do you mind if I sneak out to eat the rest?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, go,
You
go.
can take a potty break. 5 minutes, though. You got to be back in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
To
you're on
wrap
the
it up.
clock.
I mean, I'm sure it's him and Hunter Campbell. By the way, if you've been watching their behind the scenes on all their like PR and how they're like de-escalating issues and stuff. I mean, they've been good at doing it. I mean, unfortunately, this isn't John Jones, first run in, and actually. The behind the scene when he tore his pec and they told him that he needed surgery, he's like, yeah, usually the stuff I do, he even said it, is outside of the ring, nothing inside. But once again, this is not something good for the UFC. They're going to have a hard conversation with him. Obviously, he could be facing jail time. Even if he doesn't, once again, we're having these conversations, and again, such a generational talent, but it doesn't matter if you can't fight.
Yeah, so in my eyes, Madison Square Garden is the biggest venue in sports. It's the Mecca.
Yeah.
Everyone dreams of participating in some sort of event at MSG. If you can't get John Jones and Stipe Miocic, the next logical thing for me is to bring in Alex Pereira at heavyweight to fight against the winner of Aspinall and Blades.
Yeah, because I don't think Pereira, Stipe,
Or another rumor dropped today that Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler is looking to be rescheduled in December.
Yeah. I mean, for MSG would be better.
Absolutely.
Because that's
'Cause
where he
December will
that's where
probably
he
be
became
Vegas.
champ. Well, not champ. He went up and won the
That
lightweight.
is also where he destroyed the bus.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of issues, so that's why, here's the thing. There's a lot of possibilities. I mean, Pereira versus Aspinall, Curtis is very intriguing to me. Connor. But there's a lot of matches you can make in that. I mean, hopefully we get Jones and CP only because the time is ticking. I know Jones, I think his birthday's this month. I know it's coming up, and he's going to be 37.
Yep.
Stipe's 42, 43. Time, I could see both guys riding off to the sunset after they fight.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't want to see Stipe unless it's John Jones.
Yeah, it's the only fight that makes sense.
So there's no reason for Stipe to live his perfectly happy life. Leave it, not live it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Leave his perfectly happy life unless it's for John Jones.
Yeah,
'cause
he-
he's doing great things. He's
he's
a
a
good guy.
firefighter. He's
Got
I think,
an OnlyFans,
he does.
and it's not
It's not what you think. No. And he's going to go down as one of the best
All right,
heavyweights.
welcome back,
All
Danny.
right, Danny. Welcome back, see? All right, well,
Well, as we wrap this thing up, I got 2 programming notes here.
all right, here we go.
Next week, we are going to have a couple special guests. Fury Fighting is going to be coming to Dallas, Texas on August 2nd, and we are going to have a few guest stars from that fight card coming to sit down with us and chat through their fight journeys, get to know them a little better.
Oh, nice. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and Fury FC feeds directly into the UFC, so these are your stars of tomorrow, and we're going to be so excited to sit down and have them on our next episode. And guess what? For the first time in Pouring Takes existence, we are going to have a watch party.
Heck yes, we are.
On August 10th, we are going to have a Olympics watch party here at Bryan Street Tavern. We'll be dropping all of those details on our social medias. If you haven't subscribed yet, find us all at pouringtakes.com. You'll see us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, X. You'll get all of the details to come out to Bryan Street Tavern, have a drink with us. I believe the men's basketball finale will be that day, so possibly get to see Team USA go for another gold medal. Loads of track and field events. Breaking.
Oh, I'm ready for breaking.
Oh gosh.
I may break
that is
during
Charlie's
it.
sport. But you know, it's the Olympics. It's the Summer Olympics. Only happens every 4 years. Let's have some fun with it. We look forward to seeing you guys out here. And like I said, we'll continue to drop more and more details as they become available.
Well, Danny, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure picking your brain here. And thank you again, always, Bryan Street Tavern, for having us. It's fun, and we're going to go on and enjoy the rest of the Home Run Derby for tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure being back, and I always love talking to you guys about sports, so it was great.
Yep.
By the way, real quick, where can they find you?
Like my ad?
Yeah, like your social media handles.
Yeah, my social media handle, I really only have Instagram. It's at Danny Cox, COX _15.
I like how you had to
It's
let
not
people
an
know that.
OnlyFans. It's not an
Yeah,
OnlyFans.
yeah.
you
Not my
guys.
OnlyFans account, it's just my last name. It's COX, family friendly, Danny Cox _15.
All right. Well, thank you again, Danny. Thank you again, Bryan Street Tavern, and we will see you all next week.
Thank you, everybody.